Earth applied for membership in the Galactic Council 50 years after first contact. Our ships had reached the edges of known space, our diplomats fluent in the major trade tongues, our technology competitive, if not entirely advanced. We came not as conquerors nor beggars, but as equals. At least, that's how we viewed ourselves. The Council thought differently. The application was reviewed in under a month, a record speed for an organization infamous for decades-long deliberations. A signal came in, summoning Earth's delegation to the central chamber on Helier Prime. Our envoy arrived in full ceremonial regalia. Emissaries from every major Terran nation, AI advisors, and cultural representatives. They waited behind sealed chrome doors as species with 4 eyes, 6 limbs, and plasma for blood filed ahead of them. No greetings, no acknowledgments. The humans were the last to be allowed inside. When the doors opened, the air was thick with disdain. The Speaker of the Council, a feathered Arval patriarch, announced a verdict before our delegation could even take their seats. Earth's petition for council membership is denied. He didn't pause for reaction. Humanity is an unstable, short-lived species, aggressive by nature, primitive in politics, and unevolved in culture. Some species chuckled audibly. Others didn't bother to hide their disgust. The Kryn delegate, the gelatinous ambassador of a species that had fought 2 galactic wars for territory, grimaced as if the mere presence of humans soiled the chamber. The accusations flowed freely. Earth had only just unified under a single banner. Human conflicts were still recent history. Wars, genocides, economic collapses. Our AI systems, while functional, were labeled ethically unregulated. Our space military, though modest in known records, was described as needlessly hostile in structure. The Zelford delegate even read out a list of Terra media titles to prove our cultural barbarism. Your species, the speaker concluded, has evolved faster than it matured. It is not a question of if you will implode. It is when the council will not risk contamination. The room was silent as a verdict echoed through the amphitheater. Earth's head diplomat, Ambassador Lin, didn't flinch. She nodded once. Understood. Another delegate whispered, "This is a mistake." The speaker ignored her. The Arval patriarch turned his gaze to the next petitioning species without dismissing the humans. So the humans dismissed themselves. They walked out in silence. No protests. No statements to the galactic press. The delegation ship departed within the hour. It never returned. On Earth, there were no public riots, no demonstrations, no global mourning. Instead, something colder spread. Precision, clarity, consensus. The footage of the council session was played once on every major Earth channel. Then it was archived. The world didn't rage, it prepared. The United Earth Directive was enacted 48 hours later. Signed by every major government, corporation, and orbital colony, it marked the official dissolution of international borders and the birth of a single global entity, the Equinox Pact. No speeches, no flags, just orders. All industrial resources were reallocated toward off-world infrastructure. Lunar shipyards expanded tenfold. Mars-based AI cores were installed with autonomy override functions. Earth's military, previously defensive, was restructured, streamlined, and removed from public oversight. Recruitment went dark. Conscription wasn't needed. The most brilliant minds from every field vanished from civilian life. Satellites were redirected. Deep space telescopes stopped broadcasting their data to the open net. Civilian exploration missions were quietly scrubbed. In their place, classified operations began launching from Antarctica, orbiting habitats, and lunar stations, never documented, always silent. Within 5 years, Earth's known fleet vanished from galactic maps. The Council noticed the withdrawal. It was mentioned in back channels, dismissed as isolationism or another Terran tantrum. The Kryn published a minor report titled Human Retraction as confirmation of Council wisdom. The Arval used it as evidence of primitive instability. 10 years passed. In that time, several border colonies belonging to smaller species reported unidentified signals, dense energy spikes followed by magnetic silence. Council scouts dispatched to investigate either returned with corrupted sensor logs or didn't return at all. Most wrote it off as cosmic interference. The Council rarely wasted time on concerns of minor species. 15 years after Earth's denial, an automated drone belonging to the Zephyr Union stumbled upon something it couldn't explain. Orbiting a collapsed moon, hidden behind quantum interference, was a structure, massive, engineered, radiating energy signatures unfamiliar to the drone's database. It attempted to ping the structure. It never completed the transmission. The drone was found weeks later, drifting near the borders of neutral space. Its memory core had been flash-purged, its hull undamaged, its AI non-responsive. The report made it to the Council's lower registry. It never made it higher. But Earth had not forgotten. In a sealed room beneath the Himalayan ice vaults, 7 individuals reviewed the footage. None spoke. One nodded. "We're ready," she said. Above them, orbiting Earth in a blacked-out cradle, the Omega fleet sat in sleep mode. No lights, no signals, no markings. Just names etched into obsidian hulls. Resolution, Condor, Apex, Silence, and Judge. The Judge would wake first, and Earth would never knock again. The Judge activated in total darkness. No lights flared. No broadcast signaled its awakening. It simply powered up, cold and invisible to every sense of design by Council species. Its systems ran checks in complete silence. Within 4 minutes, it sent out a single encrypted pulse. Quantum locked the recipients buried deep under Earth's crust, Mars core bases, and command towers of the Lunar Military Array. The fleet began to stir. In the asteroid belt, entire fields of rock began to move. Not from natural drift, but from the ignition of long dormant engines embedded deep inside them. What looked like ordinary asteroids split apart, revealing warships beneath, coated in metamaterials that bent light and absorbed heat signatures. These ships had been hidden for years, disguised as cosmic debris, untouched by any Council patrol, because no one had thought to look. On Ganymede, a terraforming station suddenly stopped transmitting environmental data. A Council monitoring probe noticed the blackout, but dismissed it as a weather anomaly. In truth, the terraformer had never been for civilian purposes. Its true function activated that day, to serve as a production node for adaptive combat drones. Over 60,000 were produced in the first week. Not one left a trace on the open network. Across Seoul, humanity's military assets came online under one command, the EchoNet. It wasn't traditional AI. It didn't think, argue, or calculate probabilities. It executed. Fed by centuries of tactical theory, battlefield footage, and predictive modeling, it could coordinate entire war theaters with microsecond precision. No personality. No debate. Just reaction. Action. Completion. Earth's global population noticed the silence, but not the truth. The media, streamlined years ago under the Equinox Pact, offered distractions, fictional conflicts, simulated crises, stories of distant research triumphs. No mention of the Omega fleet, no leaks. Every scientist, engineer, and operator working on the project was under permanent orbital residency. None ever returned to Earth. The few who grew anxious disappeared quietly. Meanwhile, humanity's old colony worlds were emptied, not abandoned, cleared. Infrastructure remained, but the people were moved, relocated to hidden bastions carved into rogue planets and energy-saturated voids. Places Council sensors couldn't scan. Every Terran life became either a ghost or a ghost maker. Then came the tests. In an unclaimed sector beyond Zephyr space, a Kryn listening post ceased transmission. It had logged a distortion, a brief fold in space, and then nothing. The Council chalked it up to black hole interference. But the Kryn knew something was wrong. They sent a second post. This one lasted 4 hours longer. It recorded the movement of a shadow, a vessel the size of a city, with no heat signature, no visible thrust, and no markings. The post was never found again. Smugglers began whispering. They spoke of Terran wraiths in dead systems, black ships that moved without sound, tore through pirate fleets in seconds, then vanished before backup arrived. One report described a single fighter disabling a Zephyr cruiser in under 3 seconds. Another claimed to have seen drones phase out of reality, passing through holes like smoke and slicing reactors clean in half. No one believed them. The council dismissed the stories as paranoia. Earth had gone quiet, yes, but not dangerous. Their fleet had disappeared, clearly dismantled or rotting in some forgotten orbit. Their representatives had made no threats, no alliances, no broadcasts. Primitive minds don't think in silence. The Kryn ambassador wrote in a memo. They need attention. But Earth wasn't silent because it lacked attention. Earth was silent because the preparation was almost done. In the outer rim, a rogue planet named Nox Theta began emitting gravitational pulses. It was a dead world. No resources, no atmosphere, no reason to be of interest. And yet, something below its surface pulsed with steady, directed force. The Council sent probes. None returned. So they sent a small fleet, 6 destroyers, 3 heavy cruisers, and 1 carrier from the Arval Dominion. The fleet arrived at Nox Theta's orbit and began scans. Before the second sweep finished, the planet cracked open. It wasn't a planet. It was a mobile dockyard, folded inward, armored to appear like dead rock. The moment the Council fleet locked targeting solutions, the structure pulsed. From inside emerged 15 Terran ships. Black, sleek, quiet. No demand was made. No threat issued. The human ships moved in precise, devastating formations. Kinetic lances fire from thousands of kilometers. 1 shot, 1 kill. No waste. No mercy. The Arval carrier tried to flee, but was cut in half mid-warp. Escape pods weren't targeted. They were ignored. 1 pod carried an admiral. He later described the attack in a report that was buried in Council archives. They didn't just plan for war. They perfected it. Our weapons couldn't lock. Our shields were irrelevant. They knew exactly how we'd respond before we even gave the order. The Arval Dominion wanted to retaliate. The Council voted against it. The motion was buried under insufficient evidence. But inside military think tanks, the truth began to circulate, quietly, off the record. Earth was not idle. Earth was not behind. Earth was waiting. Their silence wasn't weakness. It was design. And by the time the galaxy realized it, the judge was already in motion, headed straight for Council space. Not to negotiate, not to request admission, but to deliver the verdict. The judge crossed 3 sectors without detection. It didn't warp. It didn't blaze through space with heat signatures or engine trails. It folded. Space peeled open for it like a curtain. By the time any Council sensor picked up anomalies, the ship was already inside the heart of Core System 7, just outside Helier Prime. It hovered in orbit, silent. No broadcast, no hails, no demands, just presence. Council panic was immediate. Helier Prime's orbital defense grid came online within minutes. 67 automated cannons, 17 patrol ships, and the home fleet's capital cruiser, Pillar of Radiance. Alarms blared across the capital. Citizens were evacuated. Emergency channels were flooded with speculation. But the judge did nothing. It floated above the capital planet, quietly absorbing every scan sent its way. Council AI systems tried to decipher it hull material. Nothing stuck. Every probe was returned, fried, or ignored. Weapon locks failed mid-process. Targeting arrays glitched. Some ships experienced momentary power losses just by aligning sensors toward it. The Council called an emergency session. The Speaker of the Council opened with denial. This is a Terran provocation, a bluff. The Kryn ambassador disagreed. Bluffs don't jam your fleet's optics by existing. They debated for hours. Some demanded immediate retaliation. Others suggested offering Earth a chance at reapplication to avoid escalation. The Arval insisted it was a test, a psychological ploy. But the conversation was being watched. The judge listened, and then it acted, not with weapons, but with a transmission. It hijacked every Council channel. Every screen across the galaxy, on stations, ships, colonies, flared to life with a single image. Earth, silent, calm, blue and unbothered. Then a voice. No distortion. No translation filters. Just human speech, perfectly understandable to every species. You denied Earth a seat at your table, so we built our own, larger, faster, sharper. A pause. You will not be invited to it. The signal cut. Seconds later, the judge moved, not toward Hillier Prime, but up above the orbital plane. It unfolded space again and vanished. But it wasn't done. In unison, across 4 council sectors, human fleets emerged from folded space. Not hundreds of ships, dozens. And yet, the effect was catastrophic. Each appeared inside high-priority military zones. Not civilian, not economic. They went for the roots, defense nodes, black site labs, command posts. Each strike was clean and clinical. No surrender was requested. No terms offered. The human ships moved like scalpel blades, precise, surgical, unstoppable. Some fleets disabled entire orbital grids with software attacks before firing a shot. Others released EMP bursts that bypassed known shielding protocols. Council ships that scrambled to defend themselves found their weapon systems nullified, their engines overpowered or worse, hijacked and turned inward. Within 3 days, 7 military sectors were neutralized. The Council called for reinforcements, but the reinforcements never arrived. Relay stations had gone dark, stargates misaligned, communications jammed, logistics collapsed. Then the Terrans delivered packages. To each of the 5 core Council species, small black boxes were dropped from orbit into major capitals. Each box contained a single object, a seat, sculpted from obsidian metal, cold and matte. Not a weapon, not a bomb, just a message. This was yours. The Arval Dominion held emergency court. Their generals demanded a declaration of war. But the Dominion supply lines had already been severed. Their colonies weren't responding. 2 admirals reported mutiny among their fleets. Ships refusing orders, crews abandoning stations. Then came the whisper. They've already infiltrated our systems. It was true. Earth hadn't just built ships. They'd built data worms, psychological models, espionage AIs, and deep language interceptors. For 20 years, they had learned every dialect, every protocol, every routine of Council operations, every political weak point, every cultural blind spot, and now they exploited them. On one colony world, local officials awoke to find their entire planetary governance grid overwritten, replaced with UI in Earth standard format, not in defiance, in dominance. Another system was seized without a single shot. Every orbital drone reoriented overnight. When Council ships arrived, they found the colony functioning peacefully, under Terran order. And the people? They didn't resist. Because humans hadn't attacked them. They'd simply offered something better. Protection, stability, precision, no corruption, no bureaucracy, just results. The Council began to fracture. The Kryn Consortium pulled half its fleets back to their homeworlds. The Zelfar Union initiated partial withdrawal from the Council, claiming neutrality. The Arval refused to retreat, until their main AI core was hacked mid-session and forced to replay their own security footage, showing humans disabling their weapons 3 days earlier. The Council still refused to believe it. We were the peak of civilization, the speaker said. We cannot be overrun by children. But they weren't overrun by children. They were replaced by adults who grew up in a galaxy that tried to keep them out. In less than a week, Earth had done what no species in galactic history had ever achieved: bypassed the table of power and built their own infrastructure under it, while everyone else was still arguing about who deserved the centerpiece. No declaration of war, no empire slogans, just action. By the end of the week, Terran Command had taken full control of over 37 Council installations, 21 critical defense grids, and more than 60% of Council long-range communication nodes. And they hadn't lost a single ship. The Council's last emergency session took place in a hollowed moon station orbiting Crixa V. Only 12 of the original 70 representatives arrived. Most had fled, cut off, or were in hiding on quarantine homeworlds. The Speaker of the Council did not appear. His transmission was replaced with static, then a single image, the obsidian seat, a seat none of them could ever reclaim. They spoke in whispers now, not of resistance, but of survival. No plans were proposed, no strategies debated. The conversation shifted to damage control, territory negotiation, pleas for relevance. And while they deliberated, Earth moved again. On the far edge of the Orion cluster, the Terran Enclave announced its first assembly, a new interstellar governance body. Invitation only. No vote required. Over 100 former Council-line species sent representatives within the first 48 hours, each one having experienced the calm and order Earth's systems had brought. Some didn't even wait for an invitation. They showed up, signed a compliance charter, and handed over planetary authority to the Terran fleet, not because they were conquered, but because Earth worked. No delay, no miscommunication. When a colony requested food, it was delivered. When a pirate threat was detected, drones eliminated it before the threat reached orbit. When bureaucrats argued over jurisdiction, the system assigned a decision to an AI tribunal, solved in under a second. And those who attempted corruption? Gone. Removed quietly, efficiently. No trial, no drama. The Terran method was undeniable. Ruthless, but fair. Controlled, but effective. Those who had seen the old council's chaos, delays, failures, systemic paralysis, found peace in Earth's design. Humanity didn't just take over. They rendered the old system obsolete. In the days that followed, former military powers tried to regroup. One rogue fleet, the last remaining arm of the Arval Dominion, attempted a retaliatory strike on a Terran supply route. They brought 30 ships. It was considered a serious push. Only 6 Terran vessels responded. The entire Dominion fleet was neutralized in less than 9 minutes. No survivors. No retaliation afterward. No message. Just silence. The lesson was understood. By now, the Terran fleet didn't need to attack. It needed only to exist. Its presence alone suppressed uprisings, deterred smugglers, stabilized trade. The galaxy had never known this kind of enforced peace. Not through diplomacy, through inevitability. And then the judge returned. It reappeared in orbit around the former council capital, Helier Prime. The city was in disarray. The council complex stood empty, windows shattered, gardens overgrown. No one approached the ship. No one dared. The judge didn't speak. It dropped one final package. A table, sculpted in black Terran alloy. Simple, angular, indestructible. It bore no crest, no emblems, no language. Only 6 empty chairs. Later, across Terran-occupied space, a single line of code was broadcast on every frequency. Seats are earned, not given. That was Earth's last message to the old order. They never spoke of conquest, never raised a banner. There were no victory parades, no holos of Earth's leaders declaring dominance. Humanity didn't need to say anything, because the galaxy already knew. They hadn't just claimed a seat. They took the table, built it from scratch, and made everyone else play by their rules. Forever.